Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Jeff, how the hell are you doing?
Oh, I'm just busy as can be, but feeling good. We're on the road to SummerSlam, if you will. We got a week or about 2 weeks until that happens. We had as Meltzer said, the worst undercard ever, Saturday night main event this last weekend. And so the return tomorrow too, you probably you probably forgot about this too. The return of Unreal is tomorrow. And so we're back to it's the Cena retirement kind of 3-4 month block. And so we got that coming up. And so it's just, hot summer, but also a lot of shows happening, a lot of things happening in the wrestling world.
I have a bittersweet relationship with that show because I didn't realize that wrestling was predetermined until I watched the first season.
Did you? Okay, well, I'm sorry that disbelief was shattered for you. Yeah.
So a little frustrating, but I've come to grips with it, and so I'm learning to enjoy the show now.
It's real to me, damn it! Like that's all it's all you need to know.
Which we just hit was it the 20 or 30 year anniversary of that?
I believe the 20th. I sent you the clip, and I don't think I'd ever watched the whole clip, and man, was it cringy. That was rough.
It's like watching a really tough scene from The Office where you just feel uncomfortable watching it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Is this our first Dennis Rodman match that we've ever covered?
I believe this could be our first Dennis Rodman.
How did this one hit your radar?
This one, of course, we're just on an anniversary. It's also our first Giant match. And so I want to give credit where credit's due here. This was one, it's summer, Bash at the Beach. Like a lot of us remember with DDP and Hogan and like this was kind of that time in WCW where there was a lot of these, we call it what it is, really bad kind of celebrity involvement. And so this one wasn't as terrible, but still, like Rodman, it was one of, and still is, the kind of most polarizing people ever in NBA and everything he does. And so it made a ton of sense to put him with Hogan. And this is when they were hot. And so they knew what they were doing when they did this.
Well, I'm looking forward to covering it. I don't have high expectations for the match, but I think we'll have an interesting discussion. And like always with these things, you have to listen to the crowd. So we'll check in on the crowd. We'll play some audio, and if they're enjoying it, then who are we to say it sucked, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, you ready to get into this one?
Let's do it, man.
All right, it's time for the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
All right, so look at where we are here. We are a year after Bash at the Beach, 1996. So Hulk Hogan is firmly entrenched as a heel. The business is red hot. WCW is red hot. Bash at the Beach has obviously become one of the bigger shows of the year, and obviously the iconic sets. And earlier in the 90s, we were physically doing this on a beach, which I still think was ridiculously cool. I loved it. Mm-hmm. Probably sucked to be there. You're probably getting just killed by the sun, and I don't know, probably wasn't pleasant to be there. You probably couldn't see anything, but it was really cool to watch on TV. So July 13th, 1997, we're back at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida. We have 7,800 in attendance, which feels like a lot for a random building in Daytona Beach. Like, I'd love to know, why did they build the Ocean Center? What was the purpose of it? It looks like it's a convention center built in 1985, fifth largest convention center in Florida. So kind of interesting because I guess the city probably said, hey, let's spend whatever it was at the time, $5 million, $10 million, and try to bring conventions to Daytona Beach. Jeff, you and I have been to a lot of conventions over the year. Never been to one at Daytona Beach. So I wonder if this building is utilized. That would be my guess, is that perhaps it was a little ambitious of a project for the city. So buy rate of 3. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it's hosted some New Japan, like wrestling shows have kind of been some of the bigger events that have been there. Like, unlike a lot of places, like nobody really plays their basketball. So you figure it's vacant most of the time. Yeah.
Let's get to the show. Mortis and Wrath are going to defeat Glacier and Ernest Miller in 9 minutes. Chris Jericho is going to retain the Cruiserweight Championship over Ultimo Dragon in 13 minutes. Steiner Brothers are going to defeat Great Muta and Masahiro Chono in 11 minutes. Juventud Guerrera, Hector Garza, Liz Mark Jr. I got Liv on the brain right now. I said Liv instead of Liz Mark. Yeah. Jesus. Are going to defeat La Parca, Psychosis, and Villano 4 in 10 minutes. Of all the Villanos, how did you rank number 4 in terms of your all-time favorites?
Top 4.
Okay. But you were more of a mark for Villano 2, I believe. 2
and 3. Those were my big ones. Yep.
Chris Benoit is going to defeat the Taskmaster in 13 minutes in a retirement match. That was the one where they fought over Nancy, and I guess there was real life feelings and emotions in that one based on the fact that Chris Benoit had taken his wife in real life. Jeff Jarrett is going to retain the U.S. Championship, defeating Steve McMichael in 7 minutes. Savage and Hall, the NWO, are going to defeat Kurt Hennig and DDP in 9 minutes. It's funny when you see someone like Kurt Hennig not in NWO, because he eventually joined the NWO. So everyone they wrestled against eventually joined the NWO. Well, hell, in our main event, I mean, at some point, Luger and the Giant were both in the NWO.
Everybody, yeah.
Semi-main event, Roddy Piper is going to win via submission against Ric Flair in 13 minutes. And then our main event, the reason we're here, this match went 22 minutes long, Jeff. Can you believe that?
I can, unfortunately. Yeah, this is a weird one too, because looking at the card, I've got the Meltzer ratings on this one.
Yeah,
the show only got progressively worse on this one. Oddly enough,
isn't that true of so many WCW pay-per-views in this era?
Yes,
and it's funny because WWE had the opposite. The undercards sucked, but the main events always delivered. WCW, the undercards were awesome, and then the main events kind of sucked.
Exactly. And so it's because those, not the Mortis and Wrath and Ernest Miller and Glacier didn't get it, but then the Jericho Ultimo was 4.25 stars. That 6th person with Villano was 4.25 stars.
Wow.
3.25 for the Steiner one, and then and the Benoit Sullivan, that was hot, but then the Jarrett McMichael down, and Piper and Flair was actually that was 3.25. So this is a very unbalanced card in kind of what they had and what was going on, but also it didn't matter with the main event. Like, everybody was there to see that and be a part of that. And, spoiler, it was not rated high, but it didn't matter. Like, that wasn't the point of it. And so, but this was one though that it was very short build, only a couple of weeks on this one. Of kind of trying to get to this one. So you had NWO led by Hogan, WCW kind of fighting back against them. WCW, like we said earlier, like leaning into that mainstream. So you had Dennis Rodman. He had appeared with NWO earlier this year. He actually skipped out on, and I believe it was in the Last Dance documentary, where he skipped out on some of the NBA obligations that he had during the finals. And so in order to go to this and some of these other type of wrestling things. And so the biggest kind of core story on this one, though, was Hogan versus Luger. Yes, it's a tag match, but Luger was at this point, like you said, it's easier to list who wasn't in NWO versus who is or isn't or is. But Luger was the WCW guy at this point. He was anti-NWO, that he was someone too that they were billing him as a person that could actually beat Hogan. And so weird on this one too, and just a sign of the times, the Nitro actually, when was the date on this one? Right around this time. You had Luger and Hogan having their matches, like just all these different things that were going on with these guys. And so the Giant's role, he was former NWO, now WCW.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so at this point, I think he ended up back in NWO, and he was back and forth a little bit. So he was the kind of
he was turning heel and babyface back and forth before he even got to WWE.
Exactly. So so interesting. But he was the kind of physical equalizer, of course, with both of these guys. But you also had, you weren't sure. There was always that kind of what's gonna happen. He's the big guy, but he's not gonna work the ring. And so Rodman is the wild card. He had the NWO gear on, like we'll see. He's aligned with Hogan. You get all this extra, there's always this conversation around WrestleMania, but it's year round, like celebrity involvement. It was happening all the time. And yeah, some of them are, Jelly Roll or whoever are more duds than others, but also Travis Scott. But then on the flip side, you do something like this where you get one of the hottest people in the entertainment industry. It makes sense. And so he's not a trained wrestler. That's something to keep in mind through all this. So as we're watching, I'm actually kind of interested. I haven't watched this in a very long time. I don't even really remember it all that much. And so just to see how he's moving, I think will be very interesting to see as well. So I don't fully know what we're getting into here, but we're getting into it.
I don't either, but I'm excited about it. So let's do it.
Yep.
We have a Daily Motion clip. I just assumed WCW was on Netflix. I thought they had put all that stuff on. So I was very surprised about that. And maybe they will eventually. I don't know. Okay, so we have this Daily Motion clip. We're at the 6-minute mark. Jeff, are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's time for the payoff.
The payoff.
He's elbowed and he's been in with the biggest and best. He's in a situation now, though, that I'm saying that right here, until I give you will, being able to step up in front of the Giant and.
Okay. Well, if we wait for Dusty to finish that sentence, we may be waiting a few minutes. All right. So Hogan and Rodman, they got the matching Hollywood bandanas on. Looks great.
Got Macho at ringside. I see him walk in the back there.
You know my stance on Hogan. I'll say it again because I was just thinking about it the other day as I was working on another project that you and I are working on. My belief is Hulk Hogan, as far as wrestlers go, was both the biggest baby face of all time and the biggest heel of all time. Baby face, I think, is a little more defensible. Heel, you could throw out other names. Vince McMahon being one. Was he a wrestler? Wasn't he a wrestler? But man, I don't know. Hogan in this era, I mean, you just look at him, and it fits so well. Not that he was ever flying around the ring, but his style fits so well for a heel. Like, it gave him so much longevity to work slower and be more deliberate and roll out of the ring and, do some of those things. So it just fit well, but man, it was easy to hate him in this era. because you're like, you're an asshole, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I was already getting sick of your shtick, and now you're telling me that it was all an act. I mean, it fits so well. It was great. I think sometimes in all of the Hogan lore, how good of a heel he was, maybe doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let me ask you this. So recently announced AAA is going to have a show the same day, maybe the same time. I don't think we know time yet, but in the same city as AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, hate it? Do you think one company's evil and the other's virtuous? Like, what are your feelings on this occurring?
Yeah, and it's not that they do it all the time. Like, it's typically AEW does a better job of their kind of month to month or kind of bi-monthly shows, announcing them a little further out. And so for better or worse, it does allow WWE to counter program. It's TV. Like, there is something that don't counter program against yourself, but they're not. Like, they're counter programming against a competitor. And so I'm not surprised, and it's the whole option part of it. But also at the same time, like, if you're watching AEW shows, like, you're committed. Like, I have my one friend, Kat, and her husband, they watch AEW shows. Like, that's what they do. And so they're just not interested in some of the, she'll catch, that's the flip. That's the inverse. Like, she'll catch the clips or kind of what I send her of WWE and what she sends me of, AEW. And so I don't have a problem with it. I'm sure at first I remember there was a very big uproar about it. Like, oh, they're doing, WWE's doing this to be assholes. Like, WWE's doing this, like, to try and kill them. It's like, anymore looking at, and you and I, we enjoy the wrestle ticks and kind of stuff like that on Twitter. They're not competitors in my mind anymore.
Yep.
Like, they are, based on venue size, it's one thing, when, one of the recent shows, it was like Monday Night Raw, there's 500 tickets available, but it's a 12,000 seat arena and they're at 11,500. It's like, oh, there's 500 tickets that haven't sold and they're way up behind the screen in the nosebleeds and the furthest possible away. Like, the hanging, scoreboard is blocking all the entrances in the Titantron. Like, it's like, come on. Like, but then on the flip side, you look at some of these AEW ones and it's like, 700 tickets available and it's a 3,500 seat arena. It's like, well, hang on. Like, is it even right for us to, they're competitors, but when you look at certain metrics, it's like, they're not even in the same universe. And so, you and I feel like we are behind on AAA. Like, I feel like we need to start watching some AAA matches and kind of what's happening there. Everything I'm reading, and you can correct me here, I believe Taker is booking a lot of it.
Yeah.
I know JBL was booking a lot of it. Apparently Taker's more of are we surprised? He's a genius. Like, and none of that should surprise. So no, I'm not surprised by it, but also I think WWE does it almost to troll a little bit. They're like, who cares? Like, whatever. We're going to pick this day because you picked this day, but also, like, we don't care.
All right, so Rodman being tagged in.
Daytona Beach. Dennis.
Here we go. Yep.
Bell. Just run, Hoss. You need to drag your butt in there and do something about it. Come on, Worm. Let's see what you got.
They're standing everywhere at the sold-out Ocean Center. And millions watching on pay-per-view as Dennis Rodman has come into the ring.
Already getting some trash thrown at him.
Luger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Whoop.
All right, so Rodman is in, and he's going to tag Hogan. He's consulting with Hogan. You bring up an interesting point. Like, I know it's easy to people like easy. They like good versus evil. They like right versus left in politics. They like things that are very easy to contrast good guy, bad guy, small guy, big guy, right, underdog, favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, so great. But it's not that way. And I think you bring up a good point. The analogy I'll use is football. Is the NFL in competition with high school football? No. Are they in competition with college football? Not really. You can be a fan of both. I mean, that's the thing, right? You can be a fan of both. Well, what are you choosing to watch? College football or pro football? I'm going to choose to watch both, actually. And rarely are they ever on at the same time. Almost never, right? Okay, so and yes, two NFL games are on at the same time. Is the NFL competing with each other? No. So this idea of like everything's a competition, everything's company versus company, everything's the Monday Night Wars again. It's not. The reality is that what Jeff, when was wrestling the hottest? Probably Monday Night Wars.
Yeah,
probably the most number of people ever watching wrestling. Well, what was going on? Both shows aired at the same time. So sometimes 1 + 1 = 3, right?
Yeah.
It's you open up an Italian restaurant in a new shopping plaza. You want someone to open up a Chinese restaurant. You want someone to open up a sports bar. You want a grocery store to go in because you want more people that are there. Everyone benefits from that. The Italian restaurant owner that's like, well, I don't want any other restaurants here. They're a moron. Okay. Like competition helps more than it hurts. The other thing too, I'll tell you what, if they don't air at the same time, so if one goes off at 3 o'clock and the other at 8 o'clock, be a hell of a day if you were there and wanted to go to both.
Yep.
It's a nice little lazy Saturday on your couch if you want to watch both. One of them you have to pay for. One of them's on YouTube.
It's very much like if, while we're not the biggest AEW marks, we are WWE through and through. If you can't find something you like, shut up. Like we say it all the time. Like, okay, you don't like it, that's fine. Like, and of course, like everything though, we're going to shit on the other team a little bit, but also like, what they're doing, there's a lot of people that like them too. So who am I? That's just ridiculous sometimes. So a lot of outside of the ring.
I mean, almost
slow.
all. I mean, this is almost all Gaga. I think is this the first move that he's done? So Dennis Rodman's in a headlock.
What he's doing? Hit him in the rump. Oh, how about that?
Leapfrog and a shoulder block.
Somebody call the law. Somebody call the law.
All right, so Rodman is now participating in the match, and again, lot of Gaga, a lot of trash still being thrown in the ring. I mean, people are just throwing shit in the ring.
Why? I feel like WCW had that more than WWE. I don't know why.
WWE like never had it. It was totally just a random WCW thing.
That's what I thought too. It just feels weird, but yeah.
Yeah. So Rodman led the league in rebounding for 7 straight seasons.
Okay. Now,
what's interesting is he's only 6'7", which I know 6'7" is tall, but in terms of NBA, I mean, how often is the leading rebounder 6'7"?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking what, 6-7 inches shorter than Wemby, as an example.
Oh yeah, at this point, yeah.
So I mean, it's just pretty unbelievable that he was able to do that. Didn't make his high school varsity team. Grew about a foot after high school. So he finished up high school at 5'11" and ended up 6'7".
Wild.
5 championship rings, 2 with the Bad Boys in Detroit, 3 more with Jordan. Good friends with Kim Jong-un.
Yes, he is. That's right.
Okay. 1996, he married himself. To promote his autobiography, he showed up in a wedding dress in horse-drawn carriage.
I thought that was when he married Carmen Electra. Prove me wrong. Okay, got it.
I don't know. Alumnus of Celebrity Apprentice, among many other reality shows. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Basketball Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame. So quite the resume.
At this point, yeah.
Hogan and the Giant now. Hogan trying to knock the Giant off his feet.
Not going to happen, but yeah.
We just never really figured out what to do with Paul White, did we?
No.
You know, he, in hindsight, probably never should have been a babyface.
Yeah.
Because it's just weird when a guy of his size is a babyface.
Right.
And really what he needed, again, in hindsight, was he needed a Paul Heyman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he needed a mouthpiece.
Brock Lesnar can't talk. He's admitted it. Now in his 40s or 50s, whatever he is now, yeah, he's better at it. But at 25, he couldn't cut a promo to save his life.
Oh, yeah.
Neither could Ronda Rousey, and you saw what happened when she started talking. The entire mystique wore away.
Yeah.
In hindsight, you know, Paul White needed a manager. And not even like a Jimmy Hart. I mean, he needed a Paul Heyman. He needed someone that could talk for him at least for the first 5 years of his career, but I'd argue maybe his entire career.
Yeah.
I mean, the best work he ever did was with ECW when, you know, Paul Heyman booked him well. And that, I don't know, that may have lasted a few months, but he was in some really good matches and it actually kind of worked. But just a good heel, beating the shit out of people. But yeah, he needed a mouthpiece. He needed to be a heel. He needed a mouthpiece. I think we're going to kind of pretend your Andre the Giant's son was horrible in retrospect.
Right. And I get like, that's the Giant. Okay. Like, but it just, did you see, that looked rough. Did you see recently he wrestled again too? He was back out there just moving real rough.
Real rough. I mean, I get it. He wanted to like do something, but poor guy just can't really move around much anymore.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
But if you were a wrestler and you physically think you can still wrestle, Tony Khan's got a spot on the card for you.
What's your timestamp? Where you got mine?
2030.
That's, yep. Okay. Where I'm at.
Okay. So Big Show spanking Dennis Rodman.
Spanking. What a moment to catch up. Yeah, that's rough.
How would you feel if you paid $30 for this?
Terrible. Like, yeah. There was missed time by Hogan there. Yep. And so I would have been happy with the main card, like, you know, parts of the main card, but the main event of the card, like I said, it's very slow. It's very plotting outside of the ring. Like there's just not a lot happening.
Yeah. This is one of those exhibits for when people romanticize over the Monday Night Wars and think that everything that occurred in WCW and WWE was awesome. Here, I'll give you another perspective. I think the best thing the NWO ever did was the night it formed. I actually think the high point of that angle was the beginning. The buildup of Hall showing up, Nash showing up, Bischoff getting powerbombed through the stage, the heel turn of Hogan. I actually think it was all downhill after that. I don't think that gets talked about enough. I mean,
and that's a very good point. Yeah.
Pretty much everything in my mind, this is just my opinion. Pretty much everything after Bash at the Beach 1996 sucked. I don't think much was good. I think the night they took over Nitro and Nash lawn darted Ray, I thought, like that was pretty cool. Some of the early heel turns of, wait a second, Ted DiBiase is there. Wait a second, Sean Waltman's there. Like some of that was pretty good. But man, we quickly added Big Show, which made no sense. We added Virgil, which we didn't need. I mean, I don't know. I'll put it another way. I think the NWO is insanely overrated. I'm telling you, I think it was cool at the beginning, and that's it.
Well, at the certain point too, it just lost. Like they had lightning in a bottle and didn't know what to do with it. Like
they had no idea.
So much of it, yeah.
And that can happen, but at no point did they sit down. After you turn Hogan heel, and you're like, "Holy shit, this is something." I mean, what should have happened is, okay, I'm Eric Bischoff, and I'm going to get the 10 people that can be helpful right now, and I'm going to put them in a room. And it may have been a Dusty Rhodes, maybe you put a Hulk Hogan in the room, whoever. Okay, Ric Flair, I don't know. You put some JJ Dillon, whoever your guys are, right? And you're like, okay, we need to book out the next, certainly the rest of this year, if not the next 12 months.
Yep.
Okay, who's joining? When are they joining? What are we doing? There was no plan ever.
Mm-mm.
It's evident. I tend to be a pretty staunch defender of Triple H because they've got this long-term booking so dialed in. And I know you come across like a WWE defender, but WrestleMania could have been better. Yeah, it could have been better. You could have blown your wad at WrestleMania and had nothing to put on the card at Backlash. And then we have a Saturday night's main event. We got to go fill a stadium over in Italy. We got to go do Paris. We got SummerSlam 2 nights in a state. I mean, you have to space these things out. And in this era, man, they just went show to show, pay-per-view to pay-per-view, both companies. Vince, I get he was fighting for survival, but man, with this NWO thing, let's just slow the F down here, okay? We can get to these heel turns. We can get to the big reveal of Bischoff being behind it. But man, let's do this over a 12-month period, not a seemingly 12-week period.
Well, and I wonder, are we looking at it, because they just this last week announced Survivor Series War Games. And so do the math, we're 4 months out. So they've got to be thinking about it. And so at this point, okay, what are we putting our resources into? Okay, you figure, we say long term, that somewhere on a chalkboard, dry erase board, like they've got a little bit of a card built out based on what they're doing. I think it was very interesting, like when they announced the Survivor Series, and then a couple of days later, they announced the Worlds Collide. And so I've seen a lot of talk about that of like, do you bring in some of that? What are we finally going to get to see El Grande Americano on a true WWE show at this point? And so, yeah, it makes sense. And as much as we armchair it, even ourselves, to be in that room around that conference table trying to map these things out it has to be impossibly hard. Like, whatever you do, you're going to piss people off, and you're going to have one storyline that works incredibly well. All of a sudden the Otis American Alpha Maxine goes over. Like, who would have ever thought that got over like it did? But then on the same time, like, you've got all, some of these other storylines where people are like, Liv hasn't defended the belt in a long time. All this difference. So yeah, it's messy.
Sting has nailed the Giant. And backed off. Sting nailed the Giant.
It's the real
Sting.
Sting.
Tall Sting. Yeah, Sting looks like he grew a little bit this week.
The Giant in the back of the head.
Has he been NWO all the time?
Let's get him up. Holy backed
Is that the fake Sting?
Outside.
I don't know. It's fake Sting. It kind of looked like Paul. I forget. I forget if we find out or not right now.
Hogan hit Rodman by accident. He's in the torture rack. We have no referee. Man, that torture rack was an awesome move, wasn't it?
Nick Patrick is in.
Oh,
He's got it. Luger, Rex Hogan to victory.
I thought the torture rack was one of the best. I love that move, man.
It is. Well, and listen to the crowd.
I'm saying in like I thought that was like an awesome move.
It's got to
I'm
be
actually
pretty
surprised
easy to
no
take.
one else is. Look at that. I like that move.
All the work is on Lex. It's got to be pretty easy to take. But listen to the crowd. It doesn't matter what the rating was.
Oh, man, let me tell you guys.
Yep.
Lex Luger and the Giant win the match.
The other thing about that torture rack is you can kind of hit it out of nowhere. I like it, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Feels like that would be a good finisher for Gunther. You knew who would be a cool torture rack would be Oba.
Yep. You and I, both of us went there. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So NWO standing tall, even though they lost. Hogan gave up. Okay. We sent him home happy. All right. Let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
What'd you think?
It was exactly what I expected it to be.
Okay.
And nothing more, nothing less. It got the pop in the end. So who really cares?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, you figure if you pair that with a really, really good undercard, okay, you're happy. Good enough,
Yeah.
right?
I'd go home happy after this. Yeah. So that's all right. Okay.
What did the, and I use this term loosely, what did the experts say?
The experts on this one, like I said, it was 1 1/4 is what we ended up with this one. But, the payoff to this more than anything was you had Luger, actually a couple of weeks later, beating Hogan to be the WCW champ. Very big pop there for that. It was a very short reign because Hogan won it back only a couple of days later at Road Wild, but it proved that Luger could beat him. Rodman, he had a couple more matches teaming with Hogan, but again, it was really just the popularity thing. Giant is the Giant. It's what it was. And so it, kind of had some continuation of the story, but not really. It was more WCW and NWO versus the actual individuals in the match. And so PWI, Hogan was 15, the Giant was 8, Luger was 5, Dennis Rodman, of course, not ranked. This one, low stars compared to some of the other stuff on the card. So I don't know what you're thinking. I know what I'm thinking, but I'll start with you.
Man, I got this at a 4. I think it sucked.
Okay. Yeah.
And you put the baby faces over, but it was so sudden and confusing that it wasn't even well done. I hated it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, like I said, it was what it was. I'm just going to give it a 5. I didn't. It was no more. It was no less. Probably could even do a 3 if I was like, screw this. But it's our scores. We do what we want. And so I just don't. I don't care. Like, it was fine. Not the. Not my number 1 Dennis Rodman match. So we'll have to find that and cover it later. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do we have next week?
What do we have next week? We're switching it up. We were WCW this week. We're going to Monday Night Raw next week. This one, I forgot about it, but we have Jeff Hardy and The Undertaker going at it for the Undisputed Championship on Raw in a ladder match. And so very early in Jeff's career, should be very cool to see The Undertaker kind of, putting him under his wing almost a little bit here. But yeah, should be really good stuff. Yep.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. That should be a good match.
Yeah.
Appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.